In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
It is good to be back at the table once again. I am spotlighting those who make public our private lives without permission and asking, where do we draw the line in a nation obsessed with content?
Good to have you back. As they say, Shebi all no packaging. I will be spotlighting the gap between our talk of digital reform versus the gaping reality and unveiling the pathway to real inclusive digital access.
Chai, indeed, Zumah. When we say one thing and do another, the outcome is broken dreams and possibly broken lives. I'll be asking, what really is the Nigerian dream? Welcome back to the show, Ladi.
Right, you're certainly on the same page with me. I'm all for setting out a blueprint in advance, which is why I'm saying, let's rework the education system so that it actually works for us.
Talk the talk or walk the walk. I got the memo. I'm saying that those who enforce taxes on the citizens should themselves come correct. I've titled my advocacy, Taxing the Untaxable.
You certainly got the memo, Yinka. As you can see, we all have come correct to the table. Have you? Time to break down the issues. Last month, a colleague posted on X, and I quote, "Is there a way churches can extract consent for social media photo posts from members the way schools do? I came to church for a personal talk time with God. I don't want to see photos of my moments with God used for content on Instagram and TikTok." And he actually echoed some of my thoughts. A few weeks ago, we saw the beautiful wedding ceremonies of Nigerian actor Sean Fakwa and his beautiful wife. The traditional wedding was proper traditional, sweet, cultural, royal, and very Igbo. We loved it, and it was a beauty to behold. Then came the spanner in the works, bloggers. They somehow did what they do best, dug out an old video of the bride in church during testimony. This video gave us all the unnecessary information, from the fact that she was previously married to how her husband just woke up one morning and decided he was done with marriage without any quarrel. Then came the response from the husband, which seemed very petty and unnecessary. That testimony, meant for a group of people, Christians, landed in the hands of the public and became stones. But for Jesus Christ. Now, if that testimony had been kept private, I could have had a full weekend of how and God when without anyone trying to throw that. My friends and I had visited restaurants, bars, and lounges in Lagos when suddenly cameras were on our faces, taking videos and pictures for Instagram without our permission. In this era of endless content, everything and everyone has become fair game. But where do we draw the line? We've built a world where content is currency and privacy is collateral damage. We need to start asking uncomfortable questions. Who protects the individuals from the digital backlash that often follows? The mockery, misrepresentation, or online harassment that can change a person's life overnight. Where do we draw the line? Consent is not just a checkbox, it is respect. It is recognizing that everyone deserves control over how their story is told.
A lot of people don't have adequate understanding of what personal space is, and that reflects in the way we engage people and the kind of content we take over and put out. Yesterday, I saw there was a memo of a Delta State University student who has been suspended for 4 semesters because she posted a TikTok video of another student dying at the school's health center, using it as a teachable moment for girls not to do abortion. I'm sure she doesn't even know why the person died. And the school decided to take action and suspend her for 4 semesters. And some social media activists have started to take up the situation and say, why would the school suspend her? This person had no dignity for the life of the student who was dying, no dignity, no respect for her parents and her loved ones. It is inhuman, it is callous, it is disrespectful on so many fronts. Beyond that, like you said, we go out to socialize. The first time I'm always saying is, I don't consent to be part of your content. I am here to have fun. I'm paying my bills fully. I don't want to be on your social media. I have a friend who went for a rave, and then his mom sent it to him like he had the billboard. I mean, embarrassment on so many levels. We are respectable citizens in the day. You know, we have a certain
in the night, what do you do? I mean, respectable.
whatever that happens after, like, and then there is this current trend of vendors charging you extra if you to say you're not going to be, you don't consent to be part of their content.
Really?
Yes. There was even one that trended recently. That said she was going to charge 35K extra simply because said you are not going to use my content as anything. Recently, I purchased a dress from a particular brand and I shared it on my social media, and then they said that I said, I didn't give you consent. I paid my money in full. I don't want to be part of your brand collateral. You know, again, we need to go back, you know, and define rules around what constitutes private and public content and what brands and individuals need to do before they can put out third-party content.
It's been my considered opinion that the social media space needs a lot of regulation because people just post stuff. We don't even know what is correct news or not anymore. And I don't know if that's a function of the mainstream media not being up and doing, or maybe we just allow social media to just erupt without the necessary guidelines. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that's not even sensitive to age of who could access it. And also, like Zumah said, like people's rights to privacy. I understand there's a European country that's actually saying that their citizens should take ownership of their images and all that. I think that's a step in the right direction. But for sure, we need regulation around social media and most of the media that's out there today.
I even saw a post from, I think, a country, I can't remember the country now, saying that influencers have to provide certificates to show that they are certified to talk about some of the crucial issues they're talking about. I think that makes sense.
I think I'm going to jump on that because I think we need to, first of all, separate or understand or define the difference between free speech and ignorance. Because when we talk about social media regulation, everybody's like, oh, they're going to take away free speech and all that. But like, for content to go on live TV, they have to go through various processes. NBC has to make sure they go through different regulations before the world can see. That's before we have social media. You can't even just put a billboard without going through a process of the content itself.
Absolutely.
That is how important it is when it comes to making sure that you don't misinform people. But when it comes to social media, where you have way more people than even TV, the consumption of social media is 100% higher than the people that sit down and watch TV. There's no regulation. There's freedom. Yesterday, I was watching a content online. I bumped into a content online. This girl would just say something that doesn't make absolute sense about relationship. And I'm like, who made you
a relationship consultant?
Like, who made you an expert? Like, we live in a world right now where everybody's an expert on everything. You go to ChatGPT, it tells you whatever, and then you come and you just talk about it. If we have everybody being an expert on everything, that means everybody can fly a plane. Just what I'm saying. So I buy the idea that, first of all, I don't want to talk about this again because this is something I've been talking about every time we're on this show. I feel like I want to actually give advice at this point. First, Nigeria has to create an agency dedicated to cyber regulation. I can give them a name: Cyberspace Administration of Nigeria, CAN.
Okay.
It can be under NIDA. It can be under NIDA. Their job is to make sure that anybody that wants to own an account that is for commercial purpose should have an influencer digital certificate. Like, if you're going to talk about health, let's make sure you are a doctor, you have a certification to talk about health. Because there are people who are so ignorant and they have no understanding, and you just take that information and run with it.
As gospel.
So we need to put structures in place. It has nothing to do with free speech.
So, but when you look at some of the things going on, you mentioned in particular the church, there's a gray area there. And that's where
the church, restaurants, bars, all of them.
There's a gray area, and it's not black and white to say who can give consent. I mean, take for example, if a photographer takes your picture, who holds the copyright? It's a photographer. It's not you. You know. So the question for me is the intent and the purpose when some of those things are taken. So if a church decides to take your content and it is used essentially for commercial, now it's quote unquote because a church is a non-for-profit, you know, so you're not supposed to have commercial content. But if you can make an argument that if you're pushing it out in social media and all that, and then it increases your followership or your membership, and then that increases your income, it's commercial in a sense. Mm-hmm. The question is, do you have a right to call the church and say, no, take down that content because I didn't give consent, because you have used it to promote yourself or promote an idea, really, that I don't really agree to? Unfortunately, we don't have judicial precedent. People have not gone to court to test this. And my appeal would be those who really feel strong about this should go to court.
We should go to court.
And let's test it. Let's test the law. And let's see what it's going to say. But one thing I will advise, especially for churches and restaurants, when they want to do some of these things that they do, put a notice outside or somewhere where anybody that is coming in can read that clearly says, this session is being recorded and your participation gives consent. It's an opportunity here for us to actually test the laws and see where the line exists. Because you say, where do we draw the line? We don't know where the line is currently if we don't test it judicially.
So, Yinka, based on what you just said, yeah, like where there's no law, there's no infraction, there's no sin. So which now leads us to what Bright was saying. So there should be an agency to do regulation.
Yeah.
So if the person who uses it is challenged, then the constitutionality or how it does not agree with free speech will now be what the courts will deal with. But first, let's have the regulations.
What you need is a regulatory framework that just says that within the NDPR, for instance, when it has to do with, like he says, you know, if you have followership of more than 10,000, you must come and register.
In a world where content is currency and privacy is collateral damage, what uncomfortable questions are you asking?
Well, Elsie, I'm asking, how truly inclusive is this world when we are told that less than 20% of Nigerian households own a computer and less than 40% own a smartphone? We are a nation in love with the idea of digital transformation. We talk about it in our policies, in our conferences, and in our media, forgetting that we can't transform from a position of poverty. As of 2024, less than 20% of Nigerian households own a computer. Less than 40% of our adults own a smartphone. And for those who do, the cost of data makes it a luxury. We launch brilliant programs like the 3 Million Technical Talent Program, but we are sending our brightest minds into battles without weapons. The most common feedback is not a lack of talent, but a lack of tools. And this is where the governors and the local government chairmen must come in. While the federal government works on national internet penetration and rural electrification, you must build the gateways. You must build technology hubs, not just a shiny project, but as essential public infrastructure. We need spaces in every local government where any citizen, student, entrepreneur, or curious farmer can access free computers, free or low-cost internet, and the mentorship that turns curiosity into a career. This isn't a hopeful theory. It is a proven blueprint. Hubs shatter barriers. They give a young woman in a rural town the power to prototype a app without buying a 400,000 naira laptop or a 10,000 naira data bundle monthly. That is inclusion. That is innovation. That is transformation. Lagos, Kwara, and Edo have shown commitment to leading this charge. The Ilami Innovation Hub, West Africa's largest and fully green hub, is hosted in Kwara. We see the momentum in Ogun, Kaduna, and Kano also. But these are just sparks. We need a wildfire. Governors, local government chairmen, this is not a tech project. This is an economic imperative. It is as fundamental as a road, as critical as a school, and as vital as a hospital. Nigeria's greatest resource, our youth, with over 70% of them under 30, is bursting with ingenuity. But that ingenuity is trapped. Give them a fighting chance. Let's stop talking about transformation. Let's invest in the hubs that will actually deliver it. Let's do it today.
I think we have so much expectation from our young people, but we have no structure in place to make
inadequately
those
equipped
expectations come to pass. When you look at America today, every cafe has free Wi-Fi. And that's the reason why you see most of the top innovations, whether it's AI or any kind of app, comes from America first, because these young people have access to information without having to own a certain level of assets. They just need to leave their house and there's a cafe somewhere. I mean, I grew up where I had a cafe next to my house. I mean, it wasn't a hub. We had to pay probably like 13 naira or 15 naira to browse for 1 hour, but I learned so much from that. We don't even have those cafes. And also, there is this crazy entitlement that politicians have. Let's even leave politicians, even the executive, the appointees. Once you become minister, you feel like you're a god and you're doing the people a favor. And it's not really their fault. It's not even really their fault, though. It's not really their fault. Like, I was at the Nigeria Economic Summit here, and you see the way educated, smart people are running around to collect minister's card and like, yes sir, hello sir. And I'm looking at them like, are you guys joking? Like, what is this? And then they would not be feeling like, please speak to that guy over there. You say, talk to him. You work for me, bro. I don't want to be mad at you.
I pay your salary.
Right? So because the people do not know their rights and what they deserve as people and what the responsibility of the leadership, they will keep acting ignorant. They'll keep thinking that if they come and build a borehole next to your community, you think you start praising the person. He has done it again.
The borehole is not from their own money.
This is your money. But so I think the first thing is civil education, because as long as the people don't know, these politicians will keep using us as scapegoats.
I'll give you a very uncomfortable story, very short. A friend is doing, when you have HND and you want to then have BSc, there is a short, I think 1 year that you can do in a higher institution to become a BSc, whatever. Now, this is computer science students, right? They give them assignments. You know what the instruction is? They should write the assignments, Write
the code.
Which writes? As in biro and paper. And snap it. And then upload it. These are supposed to be computer science that is going to be BSc.
How would they run?
In 2025 in a school in Lagos State here, higher education. And it's ridiculous. Very ridiculous. When your counterparts all over the world, you probably, in fact, when you go in and you're now jotting with notes, it's like, are you in this world? Are you here? And I see governors, local government chairman, all of them coming out to say we are innovating schools. We see the building is painted, it's looking good and all that. No, we need to go beyond that. I don't understand how a school does not have a computer lab. A lab that would have the latest tool for children to be able to use. It doesn't make sense. But right now, we've got to a point where technology is our bread and butter, and still our education, how we think about it, is so backward that I don't understand if our government really understands that we need to compete. It's not even just the government now. Whatever school you're building, if you're not putting in equipment that will help the children compete, because when I come out of school, I'm not going to be competing with jobs just in Lagos State or in Nigeria. It's a global space. I'm sitting down here and working for companies in the US, you're working for companies in China. The same thing, people over there are working for people over here. So you're no longer competing with just your local government, you're competing globally. Today, we have Microsoft, but people don't know the story behind Bill Gates. That the school that he went to, the women, the mothers came together and bought a computer. For the school, for the high school. Was it primary school or high school? High school, right? And today, they built Microsoft. The level of development in terms of youth development when it comes to the digital space is directly related or connected to the broadband penetrations that you have within that country. And the data tells the numbers. I mean,
the more penetration you have that allows access to, the internet and all, the hubs and all that, is the more innovation that you see. And that's why you see within the developed countries, you see a whole lot of penetration. And that penetration is not just private sector led, it's government led. It's actually government investment. Government doesn't look at it as expensive, they see it as investment. And then the private sector is able to come in, right, and take advantage of it and create, all these hubs. And, so there needs to be a connection. Your advocacy to you, big ups to you about Milori. I know that you are also involved in that. So, there's a way that,
She just plugged that in.
It's very important.
Nice plugging, by the way.
We are doing good work in Kwara.
Yeah, and we're also doing in Ogun State.
Yeah, don't start.
It's okay.
The Lagos people can claim their own. So the opportunities, the capacity is there. We just need to have a very, very organized policy framework, from the subnational to the national, that brings everything together. And my final point is that we have a minister, okay, who, I don't want to get angry like Brian and Co, but we have a minister who came supposedly from that whole sector, who is supposed to come in and actually implement. I don't know what it does. Maybe he has done something, but whatever it is,
Zumah, please.
that he has done, it doesn't seem to have made any impact.
We need a different mind shift from how we look at development. Most of our political decision makers will applaud a project that is grandiose just for the project's sake. But ultimately, we have to understand that development is about the individuals, the human beings who are able to compete globally. So all those great projects we're doing, whether it's in infrastructure, and I don't connect directly to that individual that it's meant to serve, to be able to give him the tools and the capacity to compete globally. Once that connection is not made, then it's all in vain. So we spend a lot of money on brick and mortar and telecommunication, but we have to understand that when we say development, it's about individuals, the ability to make ends meet and to compete in the global space. I think that mind shift is what your advocacy throws up for me. So beyond planning, we say, okay, fine, our economy is doing well. We've saved money from subsidy. We've reduced inflation. But how does it affect the average Nigerian? Until we can see the genuine impact it has on the average Nigerian positively. So it's all economists talking.
It's all numbers.
And slapping themselves on the back. We haven't seen the real impact.
We keep saying that our greatest resource is our youth. But I wonder who really is listening.
Well, Zumah, we'll keep saying it till we listen, since our dream and our future belongs to the youth. Lately, I've been thinking, what exactly is the Nigerian dream? We've all heard of the American dream: work hard, stay on track, and you can build something, anything. Because over there, when you show up, the system actually works with you. But here's the thing, the American dream works because the system works. Sports, tech, film, fashion, education, every dream has a structure to hold it up. You can be an athlete, a mechanic, a creator, and there's a path for you to thrive. Now, what about us? What is the Nigerian dream? I saw a video recently, a retired NFL player, Nigerian by heritage. He said when he came back home, his father told him, if not for America, you wouldn't be who you are today. And that hit me. Because where would that dream have happened here? What league would have found him? What academy would have developed him? Even when we get opportunity, we waste them. Recently, FIFA gave Nigeria Football Federation $1.2 million to build a stadium. What did we build? A football pitch. That's what we did with global funding. Someone pocketed the rest, and we still wonder why dreams never come true. We can't keep solving problems in silos. We can't keep waiting for miracles in a place that needs mechanics. We need to build deliberately, to invest in sport, in tech, in creative industry, in agriculture, not as charity, but as infrastructure. And that's the real difference in America. They build system that supports the dream. In Nigeria, we chase dreams and hope that they will build the system. Look at E1. Barely 2 years old. We're paying millions to bring them here, raising their value while ours remain untapped. We want global athletes, but we don't have leagues. We want world-class filmmakers, but we don't fund our stories. We want innovators, but power supply, we can't even have power supply. So maybe the question isn't what's the Nigerian dream? Maybe it is, when will we build a country where dreams can actually come true?
So to your first question, the Nigerian dream is to be better than your neighbor.
Are you spying? Are you spying?
No, that's the first thing I wrote.
That's what I wrote. The Nigerian dream is to blow and oppress my neighbor.
It is literally, I better pass my neighbor.
It's really sad.
Nobody
You two have a generator for that. Damn, I never actually thought about it from that perspective. That's crazy.
We are so focused on personal interests and personal and individualism that we miss out on the communal and the impact, you know, the compounding impact of communal progress. I like the fact that FIFA used the pitch as their display picture.
Very
on X.
petty, bro.
I mean,
Very
we
petty.
really deserve to be trolled. This concept of unmerited favor, unmerited grace is why we desire things we have not earned or worked for. We are very happy to thrive. You know, everybody's like, okay, there is no league in Nigeria. Instead of us to come together and put together something to send, oh, I'll send my child to England, you know, we'll do 4 or 5 years, we can't get into a league there.
So before we talk about the Nigerian dream, I don't think we even have an agreement on what Nigeria is.
What makes a Nigerian?
What makes us Nigerians. If we speak to people from different sections of the country, we get different responses. So I think we need to coalesce around the idea of what is a Nigerian.
So we're going too far. Let's even start from basics.
Who are we? I mean, what values do we represent?
As
Before we can now
Nigerian.
dream collectively. If I don't see myself in you, our dreams cannot be the same. So which leads me back to, I was talking to Zumah earlier on. I think the fulcrum of your personality will be formed between your growing up years and primary and secondary school. By the time you leave secondary school, you're more or less set. I often reflect, and I find out that the reason why I'm so community driven is because when I was in secondary school, I was telling Zumah, in JS1, we're taught a subject called civics. And that subject was so important, it was a principal himself who came to teach it. So it was at that time I understood that I was a Nigerian and I was a stakeholder in Nigeria. So that, oh, let them do what they want, has never been my thing. So long as you are there, I'll speak to you, whether you want to hear it or not, I'll hear my views, and that's why I'm here. So first of all, we have to understand, we have to coalesce around one identity.
It reminds me of what happened in Singapore, where they had to answer the identity question first. Who are we? Are we Chinese? Are we Malaysians? Where are we? Who are we? And once they answered that question, and then they went into what is important for each and everybody, and the government focused on that, it was easy to then galvanize the country and to say, let's build this. Now, I believe that the number one fundamental existential challenge of this country is unity. It's not about economic development. I think that economic development comes after that. Unity, the competing ends of this country in terms of ethnicity, in terms of geopolitical zone, whatever you call it, needs to come together and have an agenda of truth or progress of economic development. We need to come and say, who are we? Answer that identity, first of all. And then it is true that then we can then begin to say, what do we dream? A typical American will see them, you know, when they sing their national anthem, they are crying. You know,
Because it's touching. It's like, I'm
Even
going
though
to do
we
so
also
much
cry
for
for different kinds of
me.
tears.
even though this is a country that enslaved is, people of color
Continents.
for 400 years. Even though this is the same country in which the same people of color are still trying hard.
I mean, LeBron James
as
gets
far as
$23
they are
million a
concerned-
year.
As far as they're
So the
concerned,
people that are enslaved are
Yeah.
crying with them when they are taking the national anthem.
I was going to ask, they cry as well?
exactly.
Oh, they do?
So,
Okay.
but the problem is, so the idea is that a nation is not a nation without challenges. It will always have its challenges. But when they coalesce around a particular identity, it then helps them to be able to say, okay, what do we need to move forward, and what do we need to drive forward? We don't come together with the sense of what is good for the whole.
Except when Super Eagles are playing.
We come together for what is good for me, which is why sometimes when I look at Ikoyi, I call it urban slum, because you see houses that are worth billions of naira, but then the roads that lead to them
Infrastructure is not there.
How do you do that?
I don't agree that unity is our problem, because we are united in corruption. Very united when it comes to corruption, right? But every other thing you said, spot on, your advocacy, I don't think there's anything I can add or remove, but please permit me to double down on this E1 conversation. Because I saw it happening, I saw everything. So this example is not to say, oh, these states I'm going to mention, they're better, right? But I'll just use Abuja because I went there last month. And yes, Wiki has this problem, Abuja has their own problems too, but in this conversation, the roads, we were driving and there was no pothole. It was smooth. I went to certain areas because I had to pick up a document, so I was using Google Map to move around. There was a bit of a level of sanity.
Google might give you the right direction. Not the Lagos, you just be driving, they'll just into somebody's parlor. It's like, how did I get here?
Lagos State can be better. You cannot drive a whole 2 kilometers. Let me not use 1 kilometer, so they will not say I'm exaggerating. You can't drive 2 kilometers in Lagos State and it's smooth.
Except on Third Mainland.
My point is, because right now it seems that even the current governor is at a state where he's arranging his portfolio, his influencer level, because he's about to go. Because that's the only vibe I'm getting now. Just pictures, events, he has done events. There is no project that is helping the people anymore. It's just about, right now, I think that he has gotten to his individualism states they were talking about, and he's realizing, oh, I'm about to go out of the office. So all these entertainment, picture, events, that is all you see him doing now. So what exactly has been done between when he came in again and now, and what is it that he plans to do before he leaves? It doesn't make sense. And we keep saying that this is the center of excellence. Then when you talk about IGR, we have the most money, but it looks like the gutter of Nigeria at the moment.
I don't think Lagos State government haven't done anything, or the current administration. Like we have the blue line.
I live in Lagos. I drive to Lagos.
I haven't been part of the Lagos State government before. I can tell you that Lagos is an extremely difficult space to govern.
Wow. Okay. So that's the excuse for them.
Let me finish.
And you can't compare Lagos with Abuja. Once you build an infrastructure for 2 million people and 10 million people are residing there, they will generate more waste, there will be more wear and tear. I'm not holding brief, I'm not part of the
that's
Lagos
what
State
you're doing.
government.
Let's not say, that's what you're doing. This is why I'm talking about Nigeria.
Let's wrap it up.
For mediocrity.
Okay, for me, all right.
Hold on, I'm not done. You guys let me finish. So Elsie, I agree with you that as citizens of Nigeria and residents of Lagos, we should expect more from those who lead us.
Absolutely.
But I think it would be manifestly unfair to say that the government is not doing anything at all. As a matter of fact, when we meet at national events for peer review, quote me, most other states wait to see what Lagos State has done, including your state.
Charity begins at home, because if it isn't homegrown, it isn't authentic and won't bear any lasting fruit.
It's like you read my mind, bright. Before we speak of homegrown, we need to interrogate what we are putting into the soil. Let's talk real education reform. Typically, Education is linked to economic growth. In other words, the education system is a factory for our human capital, who in turn build the economy. Instead, we see in the Nigerian education system the following gaps: inadequate investment, a lack of practical and entrepreneurial skills in our graduates, and a need for a more modern and relevant curriculum that promotes innovation and critical thinking in our students. We haven't even begun to speak of the need to future-proof our learning along the lines of artificial intelligence to match global standards. We need to rework our educational system to become more relevant to our economic and industrial needs, and we need to do so as a matter of urgency. There should be more emphasis on trade subjects and machine tool fabrications on the skills acquisition level. We also need to exploit our areas of need. For example, I learned from a friend of mine who's a senior oil and gas executive that we don't even have the advanced welding skills for oil and gas pipelines to weld pipelines in a manner that will be suitable for the oil and gas sector. We have to bring expatriates there. I think that's a potential low-hanging fruit. We need to be intentional about developing the necessary skill sets to properly engage our economy and provide much-needed employment opportunities for our burgeoning youth population. Some of the steps we should be taking towards education reform are to modernize our curriculum to include practical and vocational courses that equip the students with skills needed in the workplace. In line with these, we will be looking at building greater links to industries, such as the oil and gas sector, that have the capacity to provide employment for these student graduates. Court investment from both public and private sectors, especially those that stand to gain from a well-trained and equipped graduate stream. The backbone of our curriculum and learning should be one of encouraging innovation, research, and original solutions. Essentially, if we are to work backwards from needs to solution, we would find that our education system should and ought to be the natural, homegrown solution to the needs of the nation and beyond, both today and in the future. Elsie, there's still a bit more passion from that last one.
Bring the fire.
I mean, your advocacy is spot on. There's nothing to add or remove. It's a lot. It's something that has been talked about over and over again. I don't know why updating our curriculum, if I can use the word, is such a big challenge to the people in charge of education. It's something that should be done yearly. In fact, at this rate, with how technology is moving and everything is going, it's almost, you should even consider that each term you think about what to add or what to remove and how are we positioning ourselves, and also ensuring that, like I said earlier, the product of this education can stand tall globally, right? So I hope that someone would finally listen, because I mean, of course, you had to work with the time frame, but there are so many of our sectors. I think I talked about when Fashola was the Minister of Housing, when he talked about not just the rails that need to be built and all, but also having people that are Nigerians that understand these projects. Not that every time we want to build things of this magnitude, it has to be foreigners, from the contractors to even the very handymen that can cause job provision for us as a people, right?
You see, there's something you said earlier today, where you said you became more communal because of your secondary school. Mm-hmm. I feel like YWAP, this is a youth group I joined called Youth to the Purpose, and it was I joined it very early when I was in second university. And that really shaped my ideology, because we would travel to like rural communities and we would create different solutions. And that shaped me, and I hate the fact that I'm like that. I'm just serious, because it's stressful. Because like I'm carrying the burden of this country on my head, and I'm like, I wish I didn't meet YWAP, because I probably would just be like as selfish as everybody else. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of people that are selfish, and most of them are in leadership positions.
Most of them, yeah.
The largest employers of labor are the 93% SMEs. 93%, not the oil company. They are 3%. Understand that there's more funding that go to university education, that at the end of the day, the number of people that can employ people who are in that space is just 3%. And people are not retiring anytime soon. So you have 500,000 people graduating every single year only to come out and become unemployed. And then we're also doing student loan for them to also now take loan and then come out and be unemployed. But let's not even go into that. So the SMEs, who are the highest employers of labor, there's a huge part of it that's informal. So we have, at Create Africa, we've stopped training because we don't have a training problem. We've trained over 40,000 people. The problem I'm having right now is getting them jobs. Now, are jobs available? Yes. I mean, you're wearing a nice outfit. All of us are wearing it. They're all made by Nigerian tailors, right? I mean, you have your hair done. Somebody did your makeup today. Those are jobs, but those jobs are informal, which means there's no hierarchy, there's no growth, there's no career growth. If you're working in a formal system and you get employed here, you can write different programs and then you can get employed to a point, you can get promoted so you get to director level or probably even become PAMSEC. Where is that in that space? Right? So the informality, so basically what I'm trying to say in essence is skills is not working for the people who already have them. So why are we trying to train more people to go into a space that doesn't even work for the people that already have the skills?
Okay.
The first thing we have to do is to restructure, put a structure in place where, first of all, there has to be what we call the work permit. Every single person, whether you are a hawker, it's happening in Rwanda. For you to even hawk something, you need a permit. Once you have that work permit, the work permit requires you for you to have a level certification, which gives you a level. And that level determines how much you're paid. And if you want a higher level, you go and do a certification program. Once we have that structure in place, then people can know that if I learn plumbing, at some point, I should be earning this amount of money. It happens all over the world, but in Africa, it doesn't. So before we start talking about the skills, and to bring more people into the employment, the job market, let's first of all structure the job market. Let it be beneficial to the people who already are there. Let's see growth, and young people on their own will figure out a way to learn the skills. You
mentioned entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship has been added to the curricula at the undergraduate level. Vocational subject has been added at the secondary level. But we have a huge talent gap across all sectors that we are not bridging enough. There is a dearth of soft skills in our graduates, from communication to critical thinking, decision making, and this stems from our knowledge transfer style, which is largely oppressive. There is no room for individual expression or creative thinking. Rather, you are expected to regurgitate what it is you have been taught in class. And that is like where the genesis of most of the issues we have, both at the talent level, in the workplace, and also in the way we engage with authority.
In terms of the curriculum, we're getting there because I can see from the Minister of Education that he's trying to revamp the curriculum. So vocation is there right now, and then we can see the effort. They're bringing history back and some all these other things. And Nigeria already has that process where companies are required under the ITF regulations to take certain number of people right from the university. But the problem is that whole process has been bastardized, and it has now become almost like a privileged rental system where I only bring in somebody that I know or somebody that is able to do certain things for me. And I think that what we can do is manage that system in such a way that there's guaranteed internship. So we have a quota system, for instance, that says that limits the number of expatriates a company can bring into Nigeria at any given point in time. And even those expatriates, they must have...
Justified.
And they must be justified, and they must have as their assistants Nigerians so that they can learn what they are doing, and you have to replace them. Guess the people who are subverting that system? Nigerian companies themselves. And guess who is helping them? The Nigerian immigration system itself. So really, the truth is that a lot of the things that we're talking about, we already have the framework of it. We just need, as a nation, to be able to wake up and say to ourselves, do we want a functioning country, or do we want one of chaos that doesn't work at all?
So one of the key things I think we need to do, and I'm speaking directly to the authorities now, is machine tool fabrication and use. Because machine tools are the machines that make the machines.
Yeah.
No country can move towards industrialization without getting that right.
Yeah. You're right.
So how are we going to build cars, the tools that are going to be required, the machines that are going to drive agriculture, or even the cranes. So China embarked on that in a big way from the 80s to the 90s. So now in the 2000s, they are the most advanced in the world. And it creates millions of blue-collar works. Let's not kid ourselves. The universities and products are not the ones who develop the economy. Through vocational trade and machine tool training and use and application, they will create the machines that will make the machines that we need so that we're not import dependent on the tools that we need for industrialization. I think that's very important. So for those who are sincerely seeking a solution, the pathway isn't hidden. Or as they say, is it rocket science?
Seek and shall find, huh? Presumably, we are seeking in the right place. Put it bluntly, when it comes to seeking for taxes, there must be no sacred cow. There's a troubling irony in our democracy that we've somehow normalized. There's the fact that the people who aspire to manage our tax revenues are often the least tax compliant. Today, if you want to renew your vehicle license, your business registration, or qualify for certain services, the first question you're asked is, have you paid your tax? But if you want to be governor, a senator, or even the president, the bar is lower. Payment of tax is not a requirement for eligibility to contest elections under our Constitution and the Electoral Act. All that is needed is a tax clearance certificate at the screening level, which can be obtained by paying the minimum tax in any state. Meaning, just like you shop for groceries, you can shop for a tax clearance certificate at Pokulowo. Meanwhile, ordinary Nigerians, salary earners, and small business owners are paying more in taxes than the politicians who spend billions to get elected. Something is fundamentally broken. This administration has taken bold steps, plugging the loopholes companies exploited between capital gains tax and the CIT, expanding the tax net to include high-income earners, and reforming VAT administration to increase state revenue. If these reforms are robust enough for the private sector, why should the political class get a free pass? The National Assembly is currently amending the Electoral Act with promising reforms like the electronic transmission of results, early voting for election workers, and vote for those in correctional facilities. Very good amendment, but we must go further. Let us introduce a mandatory requirement for politicians to publicly declare their tax returns before they seek public office. Not sworn affidavits of compliance, but actual tax returns for Nigerians to assess. Why public? Because transparency is a disinfectant. Knowing your tax record to be under public scrutiny is a powerful deterrent against tax evasion, which carries with it criminal penalties. You cannot ask leaders who don't contribute to the taxpayer's purse to administer the revenue from those who do. That's not democracy. It's an anomaly. One amendment can change that. If we must pay the price of citizenship, then those who lead us must pay their fair share. Allow me to go to Ladi first on this. Because you have been in government, I can say that among all of us here, you're probably the closest to a politician. So, what's your take?
Well, first of all, while you're in government, or for the period I was in government, your tax is taken at source. So they pay. Okay? So that's the first thing. But beyond that,
that's when you are in government. I'm not talking about when you're in government. The idea here is the qualification
you put
for
government into it now.
Okay, fine. All right.
Or I would have been talking generically.
All right.
So while I was in government, I paid taxes.
Okay.
So there's very little to disagree with what you've said, even from a moral standpoint. Why would you want to administer other people's taxes when you're not paying taxes? No, there's very little to disagree with. I believe that oftentimes decision makers in the political space should actually lead by example. We see that more the opposite being more the case than the real one. For example, you're driving a 20-man convoy, which is all government funded, and you're not even paying the toll that everybody else is paying. That doesn't even make any sense. Do you understand? We see a lot of that. So, of course, we should put that, we should challenge the people in North. We should speak truth to power. But at the same time, it's a lot deeper than that. Amongst the other examples we've given here, it's very cultural. You know, it's very cultural because our political and religious and traditional leaders will get away with what we allow them to get away with. So I think your advocacy is on point, and I think that every right-thinking citizen will support the fact that those who administer our public space must, first of all, hold themselves accountable.
with the new tax administration effective January, I don't think anyone will be left inadequately captured in the tax bracket.
Okay, yeah.
But I would also like to point out that there is no country where public officers only are required to present their tax returns. But there are countries where tax returns are public and anybody can access it, where the tax owner, the tax return owner will be notified that this person checked for tax returns. In America, though, their president, they've had they've voluntarily shared their tax returns.
It's a tradition. Yeah.
It's a tradition till recently.
Yeah.
That, you know, the man who will not be mentioning, you know, kind of like said, I'm not participating in all of this. I think if we are advocating for public tax returns, we should do it across board. It should not just be limited to public office holders. But I also like to say I don't want my village people to know my net worth, I beg. You know, so I don't think I will. I'm also.
Well, you're not running for office. So why do I care about?
I'm saying we can't just advocate for public offices only.
But they are going to be the ones administering public funds. So why shouldn't we put a little bit more searchlight on them?
As far as the required authorities can access their tax return,
authorities. We are all required authorities.
You see, this is our new tax. It's January, Abi. Okay.
Winter is coming.
I keep saying that
all the money you can
those in the chamber, let me not say more than that, you know who I'm talking about, they do not completely understand this tax law the way most of us don't. And that is why they have not kicked against it. Because if this is implemented the way it is supposed to be implemented, okay. I'm waiting for January.
Elsie will be paying tax for the first time in her life.
I mean...
no, of course I've been paying tax. If it's that one, I have been paying... Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine.
I've been paying tax. And you know the interesting thing? People like me, it's not even my headache. Because it's the company that I work for. That is... just that the tax they will now pay on top of my salary, it will be bigger, right? It is not necessarily my headache. The people that I worry about are actually the informal sector that we talked about in the previous advocacy. Because at the moment, a lot is happening to tell people, okay, this is what this is what it means. I think that there are some initiatives from even the government to explain it, but I think that the most important people to explain to are not being captured yet, because your plumber, your carpenter, they're collecting money from they don't even know how to say this is my business account.
They're doing it through people's accounts now.
So you call a plumber and says there is a problem, and he tells you, oh, everything, including the equipment he's going to buy. I mean, I'm just using hypothetical speaking now, and tells you it's 1 million, but his workmanship there is what? Maybe 100,000 naira.
Yeah.
All that money is going into his account. And the conversation is that once you have 5 million transaction in your account, it will be flagged, right? There is a lot that is going to happen from January. That is, if this is going to be implemented the way it is supposed to be implemented, those people would be in a lot of trouble, because you realize that 5 million passes through their accounts in a month. Because if they have such jobs, 2, 3, 4 in a month, what is 5 million naira with this economy that we are in?
Materials,
so I think that those people we need to have an initiative.
There needs to be more education and sensitization about how they want to work it.
How to create an account, how to create a small business, how to keep your book. They need it. Those are the people I'm worried about. Me, I even have my tax certificate from how many years ago. It's not my problem, to be honest.
I'm more worried about the people who would not just implement this tax law, but who would make sure that the people the people in control of this finance use the money for the development of Nigeria. And anybody that is caught, because for me, for you to create something, it's a fantastic idea, first of all. The new tax law is great, right? But at the end of the day, if we have a system that do not hold people accountable for corruption, then what's the point? It's like you're taking more from the poor now, and you are enriching the rich, making the rich richer. So for me, let's even go back to asset declaration. Like Zumah said, it's a suggestion. Most of our policies are suggestions, if you want to be sincere.
Information.
So, like I said, how many times have we come out, even the media, to say, okay, let's analyze this thing. When this guy got into office, this is the asset that he declared. Now that it's out of order, this is the asset that he currently has. And I mean, we also know there are loopholes to this thing where you use somebody else to create something and all of that. Because at the end of the day, if you take money from people and you're not able to make sure that this money, they can feel the development, they can see it in the healthcare system, they can see it in the educational system, they can see it in power, they can see what the money can do, what the money is doing.
In a tangible way.
I'm driving through Abuja right now. I mean, I've been there most of my life, but I'm driving through Abuja and I'm proud of the fact that I'm paying tax because the road is clean.
So Wike is working.
Without doubt.
When you do go into government, you get an asset declaration form which you must fill within a certain timeline. And as you're winding down, they give you that again, which you must fill. So the information is there.
I haven't said everybody. Some people don't feel when they are going and there's a gap. It is there that they haven't filled. All information is there.
Some animals are more equal than the others. A quote from George Orwell's Animal Farm, which passes a challenge of accountability to us. Except we hold our leaders accountable, the democracy we speak of is merely a farce. So join us again, same time, next week, as we continue to play our part in nation building. Till then, it's goodbye from all of us.
Goodbye.